It is going to be a lonely journey for me for a while. I'm going to need your help. And the void to be filled by John's passing is more than I can do.
For Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, as you just heard, the hardest part of the week hasn't even happened yet, probably. The emotional test part you just saw is behind him, maybe. Graham returned to the Senate floor yesterday, stood next to that now empty desk of his close friend and colleague, John McCain, spoke for about 18 minutes about their bond, what McCain taught him, how deep his understanding of compromise is, and how that must endure. And at one point, Senator Graham told his colleagues, quote, "If you want to help the country, be more like John McCain."
He taught me that honor and imperfection are always in competition. I do not cry for a perfect man. I cry for a man who had honor and always was willing to admit to his imperfection.
Senator Graham joins me live now. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I was sitting in the Senate chamber yesterday watching you deliver that speech, that tribute to John McCain, and seeing you speak right next to John McCain's desk, draped in that black garment, that white flowers. It twisted my stomach. I can't imagine what it was like for you.
Well, anybody that knew John, I'm sure, the point was, that what hit me was the desk. I mean, you know, funerals are for a reason. They're for the living. They give us a chance to remember what we've lost and how we can cope with it. It hit me really hard when I saw the cloth over the desk, because I've sat in that desk by him for years, talking about everything under the sun, and that will be an empty desk. And my life has changed, like everybody who knew John, and I want to make sure that what lies ahead for me, that I learn from him and bring out the best in me, trying to be more like him.
When you announced your candidacy for president in 2016, I was there in your South Carolina hometown, and I learned more about your personal history. That your parents died 15 months apart. Mm-hmm. You were just 21 years old. And it strikes me, in thinking about that McCain was kind of a surrogate father to you, surrogate big brother. How would you describe it?
Let's break it down. I never did anything politically of consequence without John. So in the sense we had a political marriage, I've lost my partner here. I mean, all the big stuff, campaign finance, climate change, Iraq, you name it. I was by John's side. I was his wingman. When I decided to run for president, he was there doing anything and everything. So it was not a political friendship. It was a real friendship. Mm-hmm. I admired him. I respected him, and I came to love him. And what I'll have to do now is realize that the person I'd pick the phone up and call and ask a question about what to do or where should we go won't be there. So
well, that's what I kind of meant, like almost a parent.
When my sister was 13, and when my parents died, I had an aunt and uncle who helped me raise my sister, but I focused on her because it meant a lot, obviously, to my parents that she be well taken care of, and it broke their heart that they were going to leave that task to me. And so I just had something to focus on. And my sister turned out great in spite of me. So what do I have to focus on now? My job as a United States Senator and my time with John McCain to make sure that what we cared about the most is still front and center. John heard people that no one else listened to. I just met with Ivanka today. What can we do in Africa? Africa is a place in peril, but it's a great opportunity. I'm going to be a voice in President Trump's ear, if he'll allow me, about why you can't leave Afghanistan, what it takes to win, and try to pick up the baton on human rights, something that, as you look inward, Brexit and all these sort of movements throughout the world, isolationist movements, they're dangerous because safety and security is never had within your borders. Safety and security is had when you're outside your borders, shaping the world.
You talk about human rights. I mean, you've told so many stories. You told some of them on the Senate floor yesterday about traveling the world with him. How many times did you go to Iraq and Afghanistan?
We were, that I can remember, 45.
45.
Going all over the world to places where people are yearning to be free, that are being oppressed by their government. John had a romantic view of this nation. He was a hard-nosed, idealistic person, but very practical. And I don't want to ever lose that. I don't want to become so practical and so centered about me and my position in the world that I don't hear the voices of others. And the best thing we can do as a country for John McCain's memory is to engage the world, not retreat from it.
I want to play a clip from an interview back in 2012 that you, Senator McCain, and Joe Lieberman did together, the famous Three Amigos.
Thank God for Joe.
Lindsey is a reserve colonel in the Air Force. He serves his active duty for years in Iraq, now in Afghanistan. Joe, being a key member of the chairperson of the Homeland Security Committee, and so we have a lot of common interest, common working together has built up a unique friendship over the years.
And one thing we had in common is that we love John and John loved John. You know, I said, you know, love and John McCain usually don't go in the same sentence, but it should, because if he loved you, and Joe Lieberman, you know, I've taught him a bunch, you know, Kelly, you know, the band is still out there and we got to get it reformed. But if you were loved by John McCain, you felt it, man. This guy could let you know you were appreciated better than anybody I've ever met.
Well, but I want to ask you about that. So you're the only amigo left in the Senate.
Yeah, that's right.
So who are the next two or three or four? I mean, you talked about it in the context of a wingman yesterday, that you were John McCain's wingman. Who are your wingmen or women going to be now?
Well, so Marco was on the floor. Marco has John McCain's worldview. Dan Sullivan's going to be the new head of IRI. Joni Ernst was the first female combat veteran in the history of the Senate. Tom Cotton served in Iraq.
And are those, you feel confident that they're going to be willing to put country
Corey
first over politics?
Gardner has just really jumped all in North Korea, and you know, I'm doing a Russian sanctions bill, and Corey has really taken interest in foreign policy, particularly Asia. There are a lot of people in the House who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. There's a thing called the Maverick Pact that John helped start, where you invest in people under 40, veterans component to it. So I'm going to try to stay involved with these folks, help where I can. But no one person will replace John, but all of us together, if we fight for that John McCain view of how to keep America safe, and the strongest thing about America is our values, we'll be fine.
I want to play another clip for our viewers of something that you said on the Senate floor yesterday.
John taught us how to lose. When you go throughout the world, people remember his concession speech as much as anything else. There are so many countries where you can't afford to lose because they kill you. And John said that night, President Obama is now my president. So he healed the nation at a time he was hurt. I learned that serving a cause greater than yourself hurts. Anybody in the military can tell you the risk you take. He couldn't put his jacket on. He couldn't comb his hair because he got hurt serving a cause greater than himself.
Senator, people who know I cover you as a journalist, who know I know you, ask me more than anything else the following question. How can Lindsey Graham be the man and politician that John McCain was, and strive to be even more so, and play golf with Donald Trump, be there for Donald Trump, and frankly, sometimes carry the water of Donald Trump? What's your answer to that question?
It's pretty simple. If you knew anything about me, I want to be relevant. I want to make sure that this president, Donald Trump, who I didn't vote for, ran against, is successful. We went to President-elect Obama's side in Chicago, John and I. What can we do to help you, Mr. President? I regret the relationship between the two. John is my dearest friend in the world, and I'm going to try to help President Trump. And I will, because I think country first means that. And if he'll listen, I'll talk to him. I've enjoyed my time with him. When he says something bad about John, it pisses me off. He called yesterday after my speech, and he couldn't have been nicer. He said, that was very sad. I just want to let you know that you did did right by your friend. I said, thank you, Mr. President.
The president called you.
Yes, he did, just right out of the blue. And, to those who want me to say the only way you can honor John McCain is to fight Donald Trump and try to kick him out of office, I don't agree. I'm going to do what I think is best for the country, using what John taught me about the country. This president's got to figure out Syria. I know what John thought about Syria. It'd be nice if you could convince President Trump that John was right about Syria.
Can I just ask you, Senator McCain, you had a discussion with him, sought his advice on how to deal with President Trump. Remember, we're cable, so you can tell me the answer, or tell me what he really said unvarnished.
Well, basically he says help him where you can, but all the drama and the BS, watch it. A lot of people have been burned by being in Trump's orbit. Bottom line is that I just want to be a bridge to the extent I can be from the McCain world, the Bush world, all the other worlds to the Trump world, so we can get good policy and keep this country safe. President Trump has rebuilt the military in a fashion that John and I believed he should. He has done some things against ISIS that were long overdue. He's withdrawn from the Iran nuclear agreement. So I want to give him credit where credit's due, and I literally do want to help him. And if that makes somebody mad, I'll just live with that. I know what I need to be doing, and I'm going to do it. And how I do it, a lot of it comes from John. Today is his birthday. Mm-hmm. This is the first time in a long time he is without pain. Happy birthday, John. You have earned everything you're experiencing right now, and I will be there sooner probably rather than later, given my family's history. But between now and the time my time's up, I'm going to use every day, every hour, and every minute to try to make this country stronger and safer and make this world better. And the best way I can do that is take the values of John McCain and mix it with the personality of Lindsey Graham and do something about it rather than be an observer to history. I'd like to help shape it.
I want to show you something that is on the internet. I think we have it. We can put it on the screen. Google Maps, and I know you're not big into technology. Google is a search engine.
I'm as good
it's
as
a search
John
engine,
was.
sure. And it also shows you maps, and that is one. Check that out. On Google Maps, the Russell Building is already called the McCain Office Building.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, Mitch had a good idea. Rather than Schumer or any one person figuring out how to honor John, let's all get together, and I'd like to see if we can find a way to honor John big, not small, and see what the family feels about it. One thing I thought about was the visitor center. If the first thing you saw when you got at the Capitol was the life of John McCain, you'd be pretty impressed.
Although he didn't like how much money was spent on that.
That's why I want to do it. He hated that place. It's my way of getting back at him. I want to name something after him he hated.
All right, Senator, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your remembrances, and thank you.
Happy birthday, John.
For everything. Happy birthday, for sure.